Welcome back to another deep dive. We love tackling these big questions, really unpacking complex ideas to hopefully give you some clear insights. And today we're diving into something huge, a question that's, well, it's puzzled humanity for literally millennia. Do we truly have free will?
Right, that's a fundamental one.
But we're not just scratching the surface here. We want to go beyond the usual answers, explore the very nature of causality itself, and look at what some really groundbreaking science, especially viewed through the lens of the zero-point field or ZPF perspective, can tell us about our own agency.
Indeed. And our mission today really is to move beyond what can often feel like a pretty pessimistic view of human agency, especially when you first encounter some of this scientific stuff.
Yeah, it can feel a bit bleak, can it?
It really can. So we'll connect these fascinating scientific insights with some ancient wisdom, too, specifically Hermetic principles, and then show you how the ZPF perspective might fundamentally shift your understanding.
Yeah.
Shift how you see reality's operating system and where your actual freedom might lie.
Okay, let's get into it then. The conversation about free will, it often kicks off with a really famous experiment from 1983. Neuroscientist Benjamin Libet.
Ah, yes, Libet.
He introduced what's now called the passive consciousness hypothesis. So imagine you're in his lab. You're asked to just, spontaneously flick your wrist whenever you feel the urge.
Just whenever the mood strikes.
Exactly. And you have to note the precise moment you consciously decide, okay, now I'll move it. Sounds simple enough, right?
Deceptively simple. But what Libet and his team found was, pretty astonishing and, frankly, quite unsettling for a lot of people.
What did they find?
They saw this specific pattern of brain activity. They called it a readiness potential. And this potential consistently showed up about 350 milliseconds before the person reported making the conscious decision to move.
Wait, before?
Before, yeah. So the implication was kind of radical. Your brain had already started the action before the conscious you, the part that thinks it's in charge, even knew it was happening.
Wow, okay. And then I remember reading about this. It gets even more, mind-bending, doesn't it? There was a later study.
That's right. Fast forward to 2013, a study from Germany's Max Planck Institute. They used fMRI, much more advanced tech.
And what did they find?
They took it even further. They found they could predict which button a person would press. Get this. A staggering 7 seconds before the person reported consciously deciding.
7 seconds.
7 seconds. It almost feels like, our conscious will is just sort of playing catch-up, like it's just observing decisions already made somewhere else in the system.
That's hard to wrap your head around.
Absolutely. And evidence like this, it's really influenced a lot of thinkers. You have people like Albert Einstein, who famously said, human free will is merely an illusion.
Right.
And even earlier, the philosopher Schopenhauer, he basically believed we don't even choose what we want, let alone what we do.
Yeah.
So for many people, hearing about these studies, it can feel really deterministic, disempowering even.
Yeah, I can see that, especially if you only look at it from our everyday, 3D perspective of cause and effect.
That's the crucial point, if you only look at it that way.
So what does it all mean then? Are we just puppets, or like some people joke, NPCs, non-player characters in our own lives, just reacting?
Yeah, the NPC idea.
This is where the zero-point field, the ZPF's perspective, comes in. It offers a much more, let's say, nuanced view, maybe even empowering. But before we go deeper, maybe we should quickly touch on what we actually mean by this zero-point field perspective.
Good idea. Yeah, just briefly. So at its core, the ZPF perspective, especially as it comes through in Shunpeter Z's notes from Dialogues with Z, it suggests reality isn't just this solid physical stuff we see and touch. Instead, it posits there's this fundamental energetic layer underneath everything, a kind of source field. It underpins and influences everything we experience. The idea is kind of inspired by quantum physics, the vacuum energy, the lowest energy state.
Right, the zero-point energy concept.
Exactly, but applied more broadly to consciousness and how reality gets created. Think of it like the ultimate operating system of reality and our consciousness. It's deeply plugged into it.
Okay, the OS of reality. I like that. So with that framework in mind, the ZPF perspective suggests our consciousness isn't just one single thing, is it? Not monolithic.
Precisely. It's not just one entity. It's more like a layered structure, a dynamic interplay between different aspects of our awareness.
Layers. Okay, like what?
Well, we can use some computing metaphors, drawing from Shunpeter Z's notes again. Think of them as, first there's me. self-OS.
Me, okay.
This is your everyday operating system, your five senses, your memories, emotions, that constant stream of thoughts. It's the part of you navigating the world, processing data, basically observing the results of reality as they appear. It's your current active program, you could say.
Right. The conscious mind I usually think of as me.
Exactly. Then there's a deeper layer, I, observational consciousness.
How is that different?
This is the awareness behind the thoughts and feelings.
Oh.
The part that can step back and watch the self-OS doing its thing. It's the you that can notice, I'm feeling angry right now.
Yeah.
Instead of just being lost in the anger.
Like a meta-awareness, the observer.
Yeah, like the system monitor observing the self-OS. And then deeper still, there's Z, vibration designer.
D, okay, at the source.
This is framed as the higher, most fundamental dimension of your true self. The part that actively chooses vibrations. It determines what kind of reality actually gets rendered into your experience. It's like the core programmer, defining the foundational code of your reality.
Wow. Me, I, and Z, self-OS observer and vibration designer. That's a really interesting model.
It is, isn't it?
So if we understand these layers, does that mean Libet's experiments, the ones that feel so disempowering, are they maybe just describing the limits of the me layer, self-OS?
You've absolutely nailed it. That's the crucial insight from the ZPF view.
Mm-hmm.
Libet's experiments, while scientifically valid within their scope, primarily show the limitations and maybe the pre-programming of the me self-OS layer.
Okay.
This everyday consciousness, it operates based on existing beliefs, patterns, habits. So the experiments show our conscious decision at that self-OS level often comes after the action has already been initiated by deeper processes. But, and this is key, it doesn't mean there's no free will at all.
Right. It just means it's not where we thought it was.
Exactly. It means our real free will likely operates on a different, higher layer, not in the split-second wrist flick, perhaps.
Okay. This connects to something else you mentioned, ancient wisdom. Hermetic principles.
Yes, precisely. This brings us to a really powerful ancient principle from the Kybalion, a text on Hermetic philosophy. It talks about the principle of cause and effect.
Cause and effect, okay.
It states, every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Now, that phrase, many planes of causation, that's absolutely key here.
Many planes, not just one linear chain.
Exactly. Our usual understanding of causality is very 3D, very linear. A causes B causes C. But the ZPF perspective, which aligns really well with this Hermetic idea, suggests causality operates across multiple interconnected dimensions or planes.
Multidimensional causality. That sounds complex. Can you give an example?
Well, there's a fascinating personal story from Shunpeter Z, the originator of these ZPF dialogues, that really illustrates this.
Yeah, what happened?
So one morning, he was rushing off to the gym, tripped, and fell quite hard. Now, for just a split second, he said time seemed to almost stop.
Whoa.
And his immediate conscious thought was, oh no, this is going to be a bad injury, like he saw it happening. But then time snapped back to normal. He got up, checked himself, felt completely fine. Not a scratch.
Weird, right?
Very weird.
So no injury.
Not then. He just brushed it off, went to the gym, started his workout. About 30 minutes later, his trainer suddenly goes, whoa, what happened? Blood was apparently gushing from the exact spot on his body he had vividly imagined injuring when he fell.
What? 30 minutes later?
Yeah. It totally shattered his linear understanding of cause and effect. It wasn't fall, get injured, then bleed.
It sounds almost like the bleeding happened and the fall was the explanation created later, or the injury idea came first.
That's how it seemed. It was as if some kind of vibrational state or intention for injury came first, maybe in that split second of fear, that deeper causal impulse then eventually manifested as the physical injury and the bleeding. And the conscious memory of how he got injured was almost constructed afterwards, like a story to make sense of the physical event.
That's wild.
It really makes you think. As ShunpeterZ often puts it, based on Z's insights, reality is not created by your thoughts. It's rendered through the frequency of your being. The effect the bleeding showed up in the lower physical plane, but the cause seemed to originate in a higher vibrational plane, maybe that intense thought or feeling.
So our me, our self-OS, our brain, you said it's like a VR headset.
Yeah, an incredibly sophisticated one, high definition, immersive. It makes us believe we're directly experiencing raw reality, touching, seeing, hearing, but it's actually rendering only a tiny, tiny fraction of what's really out there.
How tiny.
The numbers cited are minuscule, something like 0.0000000% of the total electromagnetic reality, we perceive almost nothing, relatively speaking.
Wow. Okay.
And this very limited perception, combined with our past experiences and memories, leads us to form what ZPF calls conceptual bugs.
Conceptual bugs, like limiting beliefs.
Exactly. Limiting beliefs, assumptions, judgments based on past data. These bugs then kind of solidify into a persona, a mask we wear, that we often mistake for our true selves.
And when we're just running on that.
When we're solely run by this self-OS, reacting automatically based on these bugs and this limited data, that's when we risk becoming like that NPC, just responding to the limited rendered reality based on old programming, rather than making conscious choices from a deeper place.
Okay, so an NPC in this context isn't necessarily bad, it's just operating on autopilot, driven by the bugs.
Precisely. It's an analogy for operating unconsciously, driven by past programming, rather than consciously choosing our state of being, our frequency. And this completely reframes how we should think about action.
Right, because we usually think action is the cause. I worked hard, so I succeeded. I took this action, so reality changed. That feels very direct, very A to B.
It does. It's the standard narrative.
But if the ZPF view is right, is that the true cause? Or is action something else?
From the ZPF perspective, the true cause isn't the physical action itself, not primarily anyway. The real cause is described as a kind of threefold structure. Intention being, meaning your overall state, and vibration.
Intention being vibration.
Right. And intention here isn't just a fleeting mental goal. It's deeper. An existence-level direction, a fundamental resonance you're putting out. Actions then become tools.
Tools for what?
Tools for frequency adjustment. They're ways to help you tune your being, your vibration, to align with your deeper intention. They aren't the primary movers, more like fine-tuning knobs.
Okay, that's a different way to look at it. Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Think about Shunpeter's own experience creating this ZPF echo content, these deep dives.
Okay.
He produces them, according to his notes, not because some consultant told him to chase algorithms or pick clickbait topics. He does it because he genuinely enjoys the process of exploring these ideas. It deepens his own understanding. It resonates with his sense of purpose.
So he's operating from joy.
Exactly. He's operating from a place of joy and curiosity. That state of being naturally aligns his vibration. It puts him in a kind of zone state or flow state. And the action making the content becomes a powerful tool for maintaining and expressing that frequency.
Ah, so the state comes first and the action flows from it and reinforces it.
Precisely. That joyful action is the true meaning of action in this framework. It's the state you're in while doing it that carries the causal power, not just the physical movement.
Okay, that makes sense. It connects back to that Z quote.
Reality is not created by your thoughts. It's rendered through the frequency of your being.
Yes. So the critical question isn't just what did you do, it's what state of being were you in when you did it.
Right.
There's another analogy used, making tea. You don't consciously decide step by step, boil water, then pour water, then drink tea, and then as a result, feel relaxed.
No, it doesn't quite work like that.
Instead, the ZPF view suggests the deeper vibrational intention, the desire to feel relaxed, maybe comes first. And the whole story of boiling water, making tea, drinking it. That sequence is rendered into your experience as the physical explanation that corresponds to achieving that desired state of relaxation.
So the action is like the post hoc story. The narrative the self-OS creates to explain why the state shifted. Exactly. The action sequence is the logical narrative that fits the vibrational outcome you were already tuning into.
Wow. Okay, this really helps explain something I think we all experience. Why some things seem to manifest really easily, almost effortlessly, while other things feel like pushing a boulder uphill.
Go on.
Like simple things. Wanting a cup of tea. It just happens right, smoothly. Because there are no conceptual bugs, no deep-seated limiting beliefs messing with the frequency of having tea.
Right. Your being is already pretty much aligned with tea. No internal conflict there.
But bigger desires, maybe starting a business or learning a difficult skill, they often hit snags. And maybe that's because our ingrained beliefs, those conceptual bugs like it's impossible or I'm not good enough or it's going to be too hard, create a wobble, a distortion in our frequency.
That's exactly the idea. When you feel that significant disconnect between what you intend or desire and what actually shows up, it's often not about needing more action in the conventional sense. It's more likely your own conceptual bugs interfering with your vibrational signal. Your self-OS is broadcasting static because of its old programming.
Okay. If our self-OS, our me, doesn't really have free will in the way Libet's work suggests, and our actions are more like frequency tuners or rendered stories, Where does our actual agency lie? Do we have any free will? Or was Einstein right all along? Is it just an illusion?
No, absolutely. We do have free will, profound free will, but it's not where we typically look for it.
Where is it then?
Our free will isn't the freedom of action at the self-OS level. That is largely reactive as Libet measured. Instead, our true free will is the profound freedom to choose frequency.
Freedom to choose frequency.
Yes, the power to decide which vibration you will tune into in any given moment. Regardless of circumstances, this incredible power isn't exercised by the reactive self-OS. It's exercised by your I consciousness, the observer.
The observer chooses the frequency.
That's the idea. It's what the ZPF framework calls your responsibility. Not responsibility in the usual sense, but your literal ability to choose your vibrational state to whatever is happening.
Responsibility. I like that. That actually connects back to Schopenhauer, doesn't it? You mentioned him earlier saying we don't choose our desires.
It does, interestingly. In his major work, The World as Will and Representation, he wrote something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, the world we perceive, the world of phenomena, is governed by cause and effect, by the principle of sufficient reason.
Okay, the world we see follows rules.
Right. But he also said that independence from this principle, true freedom, exists only in the world as will, with a capital W, this deeper driving force behind reality.
So he was suggesting there's a phenomenal world bound by causality and a deeper will dimension that's free.
Essentially, yes. He saw a deeper dimension that stands outside the normal causal chain. And that sounds remarkably similar to this idea of a fundamental freedom to choose our vibration, our resonance from the I or even Z level.
So our self-OS gets stuck in linear time, sees A causing B, gets frustrated when its actions don't work.
Exactly. It sees causality as this frustratingly linear chain within time. But the I consciousness, the observer, can perceive a multidimensional frequency-level causal chain. That's where your true freedom lies.
It's not about what you do, but what you choose to resonate with.
Precisely. So when something happens that looks like failure in your 3D reality, does your self-OS automatically default to resonating with helplessness or defeat because of old bugs? Or can your I consciousness step back, observe the event without judgment, and then consciously choose to shift frequency, maybe to resilience or learning or just neutral observation? That choice, that's your power. That's your free will in action.
That is incredibly powerful. Okay, so if this true freedom lies in choosing our frequency and our responsibility, how do we actually do that? How do we consciously connect with that deeper awareness, that I or Z layer, and reliably shift our state in everyday life? It sounds great in theory, but we need some practical tools, right?
We absolutely do. And this is where ZPF offers some very practical OS design principles. These come directly from insights in ShunpeterZ's dialogues with Z. They're not just abstract concepts. They're practices to consciously upgrade your internal operating system.
Okay, OS upgrade. I'm ready. What's the first step?
First is the practice of observation. In Japanese, the term used is yellow, kanshu. It means consciously observing your thoughts, your emotions, those conceptual bugs, your limiting beliefs, but without identifying with them.
Just watching them.
Yes, like standing on the riverbank watching the current flow by instead of getting swept away by it. This practice helps you defrag your self-OS. It's like running a garbage collection process for all the accumulated emotional and mental residue, clearing out old, unhelpful programming.
Okay, detach and observe to clear the clutter. Makes sense. What's next?
Second principle, clarify intention. Think about advertising. A clear message is powerful, right? It renders effectively. Similarly, setting a clear, heartfelt intention for your reality, or even just the intention to connect with your deeper consciousness, is crucial.
So set the intention clearly.
Yes. Set it clearly, maybe feel it, and then, this is important, release it. Trust the system. Don't keep hammering at it mentally. This allows the information, the request, to flow more easily from those higher dimensions into your experience. It's about clear communication with the reality OS, not brute force.
Release it. Got it. Okay, what else?
Third, engage the senses. Our self-OS, our me, is often totally caught up in mental chatter, right? Analysis, worry, planning.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
So intentionally shift your focus away from that noise and into direct sensory experience. Feel your breath going in and out. Notice sensations in your body, warmth, tingling, pressure. Really listen to the sounds around you. Taste your food consciously. This active grounding in the senses helps quiet the analytical self-OS.
It pulls you out of your head.
Exactly. It opens the channel to deeper awareness, helps you tune into a more present, often higher frequency.
Observe, intend, engage senses. Okay, what about actually changing the OS programming itself?
Right. That's the next level. Actively redesigning your self-OS. Think of it like installing updates or changing settings for better performance. Couple of key functions to build in. First, develop a flexible rendering filter. Instead of having rigid filters based only on past experiences and limiting beliefs, this always happens, that's impossible. Cultivate more of a transparent mode. Be open to allowing new possibilities, unexpected solutions, different realities to render into your awareness. Question your assumptions.
Be open to surprises.
Yes. Second, implement a buffer clearing function. This means regularly clearing out that residual emotional and mental noise, the unresolved energetic patterns that keep bogging the system down. Meditation helps, but ZPF also mentions specific techniques like the Fornix process.
Fornix process, we touched on that before, didn't we? It's like a deeper energetic clearing.
Exactly. It's described as a way to release stored emotional data, the stuff that keeps triggering old patterns and keeping your frequency stuck. Regular clearing is key.
Okay. Flexible filter, buffer clearing. Anything else?
One more. Enable consciousness multi-threading. This is a cool metaphor. Imagine running a background process, a thread that's continuously connected to your source consciousness, to your I and Z layers, even while your main self-OS is busy handling emails, driving, having conversations.
Like keeping a subtle connection open in the background.
Precisely. It ensures a constant, gentle flow of higher dimensional information, insight, and guidance into your everyday awareness. It allows your higher self to subtly influence your moment-to-moment experience without overriding the self-OS completely.
Wow. Observation, intention, senses, and then redesigning with flexibility, clearing, and multi-threading. That's quite a toolkit.
It provides a practical framework, yes.
So pulling this all together then, what's the ultimate takeaway from this ZPF perspective on free will and creating our reality, if you had to boil it down?
If I had to boil it down, the ZPF perspective powerfully confirms this core idea. Action is not the cause. State being is the cause.
State is the cause.
Yes. Your chosen state of being, your overall vibrational frequency in any given moment, that is the true rendering key. That's what determines the reality you experience. The zero-point field, the universe's operating system, simply reflects back to you the reality that perfectly corresponds to the frequency you've chosen to embody.
So our will, our true freedom.
It lies squarely in that vibrational choice.
And as ShunpeterZ, our source for so much of this, often reminds us, quoting Z, your freedom doesn't lie in what you do. It lies in what you choose to resonate with.
That says it all, really.
So the really provocative question for you listening right now is, what frequency will you choose to resonate with? Because that choice, right here, right now, that is the true cause of your next reality. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If this resonated with you, please join the echo, share the journey, maybe explore these concepts more for yourself. We'll see you in the next deep dive.